Good evening, parents and children. We're going to look at describing geometric patterns using tables. I'm just going to go through the keywords quickly. So the first one is term. I will be explaining the term to you when we get to the question. Then the next keywords is constant difference. So this one is one I have been speaking about, and it means it's a number that you add on in your pattern that doesn't change. So you add on or minus the same number. Inverse operation, that is something the children should know by now. We've been discussing it in term 1. That means we're talking about the opposite operation or calculation. So, for example, the opposite of plus will be minus, and the opposite of times will be divide. Right? And then polygon, that's a shape with straight sides. Okay? Let's look at the first example. This comes from Green Shoots. Again, I'm showing you these questions so that the children can get used to them. So when they do this on their own, they will be familiar with the type of question that they see. Determine the number of stars in the fourth pattern in the sequence. So here we have the first, second, third pattern, and then they want to know how many stars will be in the fourth pattern. We're going to use a table to write in our pattern and to determine the rule, and we're going to use the rule then to find how many stars there will be in greater or bigger numbers than the consecutive numbers that you can see here. Remember, consecutive meaning numbers that follow one another, like when you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are consecutive numbers. So I'm just going to split these two. Okay. Right, so let's go and count. How many stars do you see by the first one? There's only 1. How many stars do you see by the second one? There are 5. How many stars do you see by the third one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, so now we need to find how many stars there will be by the fourth and the fifth term. Remember, term is the name of the position where the diagram is at. So this one is term 1 because that's where we start, and this one is term 2, the second one, and this one is term 3. So that's what the meaning is of the word. So we use it to say in which position we are looking at, or what the pattern is showing us, the position of the pattern. So this is the first one, second, and third one. Right, so let's just look at this question quickly. How do we get from the one term to the next one? Let's just fill this in, and then we can answer this properly. So if there are 1 here and 5 there and 9 here, do we already find a pattern or realize that we are working with something that's going to lead us to the next answers? Yes, we are. So what did we add every time? Or how did this increase? It increased with 4 stars every time. So what you're doing is you're adding 4 every time. So if I add 4 to 9, then this will give me 13. And I can do the same with the next number. So add 4 to 13 and you will get 17. You can use this because these are consecutive numbers. So then you can just carry on adding on 4. But then you have to stop because now after 5 it should be 6. And not 10. So now when we get to this point, we need a rule. Okay. So, and let's just answer the first question. How do we get from the one term to the next? What we do is we add 4 stars. Okay, so that's the answer to the first one. We add 4 stars. Okay. Right? So what is the constant difference? Remember, I used these words before. The constant difference is the number that you add on that doesn't change. So you can see 4 remains 4. So that's why we say 4 is the constant difference. So then you can just say 4 here, or you can say the constant difference is 4 in the pattern. Right? Now let's go on to, I want to go to the next question. Okay, so I'm going to cover these two questions so we can look at the third question. Okay, so it says find the rule of the pattern and write it in words. Okay, so let's find the rule. So what you do is you need to compare 1, and then below it is 1, 2, and then 5, 3, 9, 4, 13, and 5, 17. Now what will help us to find the missing numbers is to get the rule, and to find the rule is use the constant difference. So I'm going to write it here as a note to you. Use the constant difference. Okay, so I'm going to take the 4 and I'm going to multiply it with the top number, the term number. Okay, so I'm going to say, all right, 1 times 4, but I need to get back to 1. So what calculation can I use to get from 4 back to 1? That would be minus 3. But what is important when you try and find a rule for your table is that you need to test it for all the others. And remember, your rule can be 1 calculation, or it can be 2 like this one, where you multiply and you minus. Okay, so let's go test whether this works for the rest of them. So 2 times 4 is 8 minus 3 equals 5. Can you see, get the number that's listed here at the bottom? Test it again. Times 4 minus 3. 3 times 4 is 12 minus 3 is 9. Can you see, get the bottom number? Let's try it again. 4 times 4 is 16 minus 3 equals 13. So you can see the rule is times 4 minus 3. So it says here, find the rule of the pattern and write it in words. This is, so what was important? We had to find the rule, and now we have to write it in words. So what words are we going to use in our sentence? We're going to use the word term, and we're going to use the words number of stars. Remember, these, the 1, the 5, 9, 13, 17, this is actually the pattern. So this is the answer, okay? So I have to, the way I'm going to describe it in words, I'm going to say exactly what's going to be done with what to get to the answer, okay? So instead of writing the answer at the back, I'm going to put it here in the front. I'm going to start with the number of stars equals, can you see I'm using a word instead of the symbols? The number of stars equals the, and now I'm going to use the term number. And what do we do with the term number? You multiply it with 4 and then you subtract 3. That's what you do with the term number to get to the number of stars. Okay, I'm going to say that again. You take the term number, like the one we took, we multiplied with 4 and subtract 3, and then we got the number of stars. So we are saying the number of stars equals the term number multiplied by, and we said multiplied by 4, so multiplied by 4 and then say comma minus 3. That's how you calculated the number of stars. You took the term number, you multiplied it by 4, and you minus 3. Okay, and this is how you write it in words. So you can see you can get a double point there for that answer. Right, let's go on to the next question. Find the term number when the number of stars is 97. So they want to know, what is this? If I have the rule now, how will I get that answer? Okay. Remember, the rule that we are using here is to get from the term number to the number of stars. So you're working from the top to the bottom. But now this is the bottom number and we need to find the top number. So you're going to do the opposite So you're going to use an opposite rule for 4 times 4 minus 3. So we use the opposite calculation. Okay, in other words, we use the inverse. Okay, so this is what they need to remember. So what was the rule? The rule was times 4 minus 3. So what's the opposite of this? Now remember, when we read from left to right. But what's the opposite of this? You read from right to left. So where do I start? I start with minus 3. What is the opposite of minus? It is plus. So I'm going to say plus 3. And then I read on. Then I get to times 4. What's the opposite of times 4? It is divide by 4. Okay. So now I'm going to take this number, 97, and I use the opposite operation now. Plus 3 divide by 4. So what is 97 plus 3? That equals 100. And what is 100 divided by 4? That equals 25. So 25 is the missing number here. Okay, so that's what they wanted to know. They haven't asked a question about this one though, but we can calculate this. Then you're going to use the original rule again. You're going to multiply with multiply with 4 minus 3. So what is 10 times 4 minus 3? This equals 40 minus 3, and that equals 37. So this is our missing number there. Okay. I hope you have paid attention. Remember, you can go back in the video and play it again if you missed something. The work that we're doing now is not so easy. I understand it when the children find this hard, but I hope that when they pay attention, that it makes sense to them and they will be able to use the methods. Right, let's go on to the last example. No, that's not the last example, but the last one of using the table and answering all these questions. Now we have diagrams with matches. So we're going to fill in the information regarding the number of matches, and you've got the terms at the top. So the number of matches by the first. Now remember, this is term 1, this is term 2, and this is term 3. Okay. So how many matches do you see in the first term? You see 4. How many matches do you see in the second term? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many matches do you see in the third term? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Can you see a constant difference between the numbers? Okay, so 4 becomes 7, then 7 becomes 10. How did that happen? It increases, so you were adding. What were you adding? You are adding 3. So it will work for the consecutive numbers, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can just add on, okay? So plus 3, plus 3. So 10 plus 3 is 13, and 13 plus 3 is 16. But now, for the bigger number, you can see it's a big jump from 55 to 15. You need a rule. Okay, so we're going to be calculating and finding the rule soon. It says draw the next 2 terms. Okay, so let's just do that first. So we've got term 1, 2, 3, and now we need to draw term 4 and 5. So how many? So what will help me is to see that I've got squares built by the matches, right? So I've got 1 square here, 2 there, and 3 there. So my term 4 will have 4 squares. So then just draw that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 matches for term 4, which has 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. And you can see in your table, you do have 13 as the number of matches. Right, then term 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 matches for term 5. Okay, and 5 squares for term 5. So you can see 16 matches is listed there. Right, so how do you get from the one term to the next? How did you get from the one term to the next? You added 3 matches. Okay, now what's the constant difference between the pattern? Now you should be able to tell me quickly. This would be 3. So there's your answer for that one. Okay. Right, now let's go on to the next question about this pattern. Number 4. Okay, I'm going to cover the first 3 questions again so we can see what we're doing here. Right, so it says, find the rule of the pattern and write it in words, just like we did previously. So how did I get the rule? What I did is I used the constant difference. So what is the constant difference? It is 3. So use the 3. Go to the top and multiply with that. So 1 times 3 is 3. And how do I get to 4 from there? I will add 1. Okay. Test it for the rest of them. Times 3 times 3. Okay. 2 times 3 is 6 plus the 1 equals 7. 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1 equals 10. 4 times 3 is 12 plus 1 is 13. Can you see you get those numbers when you use this rule? Okay, how did I get the rule? I started with a constant difference. So I take the constant difference and I multiply with the top number. So, multiply with 3. The 1 multiplies with 3 is 3 plus 1 is 4. Okay, so then if I want to find out what the answer is here by the 15, I use the same rule. Times 3 plus 1. 15 times 3 is 45 plus 1 is 46. Okay. Right, so then find the rule of the pattern and write it in words. Like I said previously, the number of matches, that's your answer. You're going to start with that when you write it in words. We're going to say the number of matches equals the, and now we need to use that word also, the term. What did we do with the term or the term number? We multiplied it with 3 and we added 1. Okay, so the term number multiplied by 3, comma, and then we plus 1. And there you've written it in words. The number of matches equals the term number multiplied by 3 plus 1. Okay, and now the last question. They like to add in the inverse operation or the opposite operation. So it's this one they are referring to here. They say find the term number when the number of stars is 88. Remember, this rule is applicable, or you apply this from top to bottom. But now we need to find the rule that we use to get from the bottom to the top. And that's the inverse or the opposite. So let me just write the rule again. The rule is times 3 plus 1. Remember, we normally read from left to right. So the opposite of that is to read from right to left. So what's the opposite of plus 1? That would be minus 1. And what is the opposite of times 3? That is divide by 3. So take your number now, 88, and you will say 88 minus 1 divide by 3. This equals 87, and then you have to divide by 3 still. Okay, so go calculate quickly on the side. 87 divided by 3. 3 divides into 8 twice. 2 times 3 is 6. Then you minus, you've got 2 left. Bring down that 7. So now it's 27. Divide by 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. You've got no remainder left. Your answer is 29. So the missing number there is 29. Okay. Right, I will be sending these notes to you, so I hope that you'll be able to use this as well to understand the work better. Right, let's go to the last two questions. This one is also from Green Shoots, and this one is from the DBE book. So study the sequence and determine the 17th number in the sequence. So here we have figure number and then number of blocks. So they don't show you the diagram anymore, they just give you the table. So then this one, the figure number, is nothing else but the term. Okay, so there you've got the first term, second, third, fourth, fifth term. And then they make a big jump to the 17th term. The number of blocks, the first one is 9, then it's 13, then 17, then it's 21, and then 25. So what's the first thing you need to do? Find out what's the constant difference. So what is added, because it's becoming bigger now, what's added every time? So from 9 to 13, you will add 4. From 13 to 17, you will add 4 again. From 17 to 21, you will add 4 again. Okay, so that's my constant difference. I need the rule to be able to find out what this number is. So my rule is use the constant difference. So times with 4 at the top. 1 times 4 is 4. How do I get to 9? I have to add 5. So 1 times 4 is 4 plus 5 is 9. Use the rule again to test whether it works for the rest of them. 2 times 4 is 8 plus 5 is 13. Okay, times 4 plus 5. 3 times 4 is 12 plus 5 is 17. So you can see this works. So you have to say 17 times 4 plus 5. Okay, and that will give me the number of blocks by the red question mark. So 17 times 4, you calculate that quickly. 4 times 7 is 28. 1 times 4 is 4 plus 2 is 6, so it's 68, but you still need to add 5. So that will be 73. So the missing number here is 73. Okay. Last question. Interesting one. We have cubes here, which is a 3D objects. Okay, so all of these are 3D objects and all of them are cubes. So what we're going to write in here is, you can say the term or the figure number, and here we will say the number of cubes. Okay, how many cubes do you see by the first one? You see only 1. How many do you see by the second one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there's another one you can't see, 8. Okay, by the third one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the front, and there are 2 rows of 9 at the back still. So it's 9 in the front, 9 in the middle, 9 at the back. So that will be 27. Okay, now if you, first of all, I just want to explain the 3D objects. Remember 3D objects, they've got 3 dimensions. And remember we said the length and the breadth and the height. Okay, so if we look at the cube, it will be this side, that is the height, and to the back can be the breadth or the length. Okay, so this is the first one. How long is it? This is 1 unit long, that one is 1, and that one is 1. Now the second one, if you see how many cubes fits onto this line, it's 1, 2. How many fits onto this line? 2. And how many fits onto that one? 2. So 3 dimensions, okay? Keep that in mind. Let's go to the next one. How many units fits onto that line, or cubes fits onto that line? That would be 3. How many on this line? 3. And how many on this line? 3. So if we look at this, we can see the numbers are increasing. So normally we would think of, okay, what's the constant difference? So what are we adding every time? But you're not adding a constant difference. You're not adding the same number, okay? So instead of adding is not going to work here. Use multiplication, because the numbers are becoming bigger, so you will be multiplying. So let's say, okay, multiplying 1 and it stays 1. What will I multiply here? Remember, 1 multiplies with itself equals 1 as well, right? But how many 1s do you see there? I see 3. So multiply it 3 times with one another. 1 times 1 is 1 times 1 is 1. Okay. How many 2's, except for that one there, how many 2's do you see here? 1, 2, 3. So multiply the 2 3 times with itself. 1, 2, 3. 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 times 2 is 8. I'll say that again. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. Can you see? How many 3's do you see here? 1, 2, 3. Multiply them with one another. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So what are we doing? We are multiplying the term number 3 times with itself. So to get to 4, you will say 4 times 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 is 64. 5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 is 125. I'm going to leave this one to you, okay? I want you to find the answer to that one. So if you understand all of the rest, then you will very easily get to this one. Okay, let's go on to your homework. So your homework is page 100 to 103 in your DBE book. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I hope you understand it. Remember, you can always go back in the video to listen to an explanation again. Okay, have a good day.